So good morning to the ones that are listening to us from Europe, from different countries. Good afternoon to the ones that are listening to us from China. So a very warm welcome to this ENRICH in China webinar. This time the topic is about talent exchanges, the bridges of communication between the EU and China. And we have the privilege to have with us three distinguished speakers joining us from China, from Beijing, from Nanjing, and also from Europe, from Portugal. So this is another webinar as part of the series of webinars that we are conducting under the ENRICH in China initiative. So we have a few housekeeping rules, and I'll pass now the word to my colleague Jiawei Wang. And Jiawei was really organizing all this webinar with the support from two other colleagues, Pedro and Daniel. So many thanks again, and I'll pass the word to Jiawei. Jiawei, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. So there are several housekeeping rules, and we would kindly request our participants to mute yourself during the webinar. And if you wish to talk, please raise your hand, then you will be unmuted. And of course, you are free to address any questions or comments on the chat board during any time of the webinar. And after each of the presentations, we will have a bit time to have a discussion. And in the end, we will have a Q&A session so that everyone will have a chance to talk and address any comments. And then the last request is to keep smile because our webinar is being recorded. And if you wish, after the webinar, we will share the presentations and the information about the ENRICH in China community, and also the video recording as well with all of you if it is necessary. And regarding the agenda, this webinar is about the talent exchanges between China and Europe, including the students and researchers and entrepreneurs exchanges. So we invited speakers from different areas and from different expertise. We will start with Ms. Alice Zhang from Messe Nanjing, talking about the mutual learning benefits. Then we will pass to Mr. Halldor Berg from EURAXESS China, based in Beijing. His talk will focus on the mobility of European researchers to China. And then we will have Ms. Carolina Guedes, based in Portugal, Porto, to talk about the young entrepreneurs from Portugal and China. And each of the presentation will last for 20 minutes. And as I mentioned in the previous slides, we will have a short discussion after the presentation. And then we will have a Q&A session for any additional questions. And then in the end, Dr. Sara Medina will have a final remarks for today's webinar. And just a few words to introduce our speakers today. First of all, let's welcome Alice Zhang from Messe Nanjing. Alice Zhang is a BD Vice Director of Nanjing Overseas Collaborative Innovation Center, Stuttgart. She got her Master of Business Administration in the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. She has over 10 years of business experience in foreign-funded enterprises. Welcome, Alice Zhang. And then we are pleased to have Halldor from EURAXESS China joining us. Halldor Berg is a senior country representative of EURAXESS China, an initiative of the European Commission's DG RTD. Halldor has worked in the project for 8 years, and during that time, helped with creating a network of over 6,000 researchers based in China, and helped with building several different networks of researchers, innovators, and academies in China. With a master's degree in international relations from Beijing University and postgraduate diploma in the same field with the University of Iceland, Halldor worked previously for the foreign services of his home country, working in the Icelandic embassies in Beijing Brussels, and Copenhagen. He built expertise in EU and China relations and ICT diplomacy. Very welcome, Halldor. Then the last but not least, let's welcome Carolina Guedes from Portugal, China Young Entrepreneurs Association. She lived in China for 3 years, which gave her a particular view on the country, that she loves its people and its way. She has a degree in design, and the time she lived in China brought her to AJEPC since it was founded in 2012. She has been the executive director of AJEPC since 2017 and is especially focused on helping companies to reach their goals and to expand their networks. Welcome all the speakers and many thanks to join us with today for the webinar. And back to you, Sara.
So many thanks, Jiawei. Many thanks again to our speakers, to Alice, Halldor, and Carolina, and many thanks to all the participants joining us directly from different EU member states, associated countries in Europe, from China, and also from several countries in Africa. So just a few words about ENRICH in China. It started as a project funded under the Horizon 2020 program. It's now an initiative coordinated by SPI, and the objective is to link entrepreneurs, the startups and organizations linked to the business, to the research, and to the science and technology world with the different Chinese counterparts. Next slide, please. So we have already achieved a lot in the past years. We have organized many missions to China, and we hope to restart again the missions in the coming year. We have organized many webinars, many workshops. We have supported many startups and SMEs on finding the relevant partners in China, also all the areas of the technology transfer, links with universities, with the research institutes, and we have also a group of soft landing zones and the regional hubs located throughout mainland China. In terms of our service portfolio, we have different types of services, including the innovation, intelligence, and information, with the different market intelligence and the different types of briefings that we produce on a regular basis. And you can also stay tuned with our social networks and also with the ENRICH in China website. We also have the TechNet, technology networking, with the different events and the different consultancy one-to-one that we can provide to individual companies and also startups and the researchers that want to connect with the different Chinese organizations. And we have the Stairway to Excellence, the capacity building with the different types of training, like this webinar, and also different types of workshops. We also have the service of Promo Invest, the investment promotion and support, that we are able to connect to different Chinese regions with the different European regions and help on the links to Europe. And the soft landing programs as a transversal activity throughout the different soft landing zones and the different hubs. So this is what is our community. Our community is composed of members. So any of you can become a member. You just have to write to this email address, and we can send you more information. And there you will have a privileged access to our ENRICH in China network, to our contacts, to individuals and organizations that have an interest in collaboration with China. You can also become an external service provider if you have a specific technology, if you have a specific service that you would like to provide to our community. And you can also become a soft landing zone, like Nanjing through Alice, they are one of them. If you have incubation space and if you have also strong links with organizations throughout your region in China, and you can become a soft landing zone and have also privileged access to our network and organize many activities together with us. So this is the location of our soft landing zones and regional hubs. So we have in Beijing, we have in Nanjing, Shanghai, Hangzhou, and Shenzhen. So more details on who they are. In Beijing, we have the 3D printing digital innovation center that is based in Zhongguancun Fenhai Science and Technology Park. It's an incubator with a focus on 3D printing, on additive manufacturing, and also all around the technical solutions. Nanjing through Alice, and Alice will tell us everything on what they can offer. It's the Nanjing Overseas Collaboration Innovation Center. And they are jointly established between the London Messe Stuttgart and also the Jiawei district of Nanjing. And it's a bridge between China and Germany, providing matchmaking services to science and technology projects. In Shanghai, we have Finchi, the Finland-China Innovation Center, that is established by the Finnish Ministry of Trade and Industry, and also is focused on the Finnish-Chinese business cooperation and the networking. The two original hubs that we have, one is located in Shenzhen, and they have also been linked to the China High-Tech Fair. That is the greatest fair in China on all matters related to ICT and high-tech. And they are also committed to the acceleration of innovative technologies and cross-border industrial cooperation. In Hangzhou, we have the Sino-European Technology and Innovation Center, one-stop service platform, promotion international cooperation in the field of STI, and also they have very strong links with the local governments, and also with the Hangzhou government, and also with the Ministry of Science and Technology, and also links with the Hangzhou Zhejiang University in Hangzhou. So just to finish, a snapshot of our past activities. This was the last tour that actually took place in 2019 in November. We took a delegation from different European countries to Chengdu to participate in the EU-China Business and Technology Cooperation Fair together with the UPIC, and also to Shenzhen to participate in the China High-Tech Fair. And we hope that next year we'll be able to go again to China, and I really miss going to China, so I hope to be back very, very soon. This is one of the corporations that we have, Hans Marius, and Marius is also one of our participants in this webinar. He attended the 2017 ENRICH Innovation Tour in Chengdu, Beijing, and Qingdao, and we were able to connect with the key Chinese clients and partners, and he was able to establish an office in Jinan, and also signed the 3 memorandums of understanding in China, including one with the Dongfang Boiler Co. in Chengdu. Another successful case is a partnership agreement with the Netherlands Innovation Center. We signed this agreement during the 4th Netherlands Innovation Center project matchup meeting, and this agreement is now laying the groundwork for future collaboration. Upcoming activities, so we are now conducting webinars every 2 months. We are now already designing the upcoming one that will take place in June, so we will announce the date very soon. We are also establishing a memorandum of understanding with the Shenzhen Bay Innovation Center, and we are signing this and also planning to do a joint webinar and seeing how we can further collaborate with the region of Shenzhen. So many thanks again. You can see here all our contacts, also our, apart from the email address, our WeChat addresses. So feel free to get connected, and many thanks again for joining us. I'll pass the word now back to Jiawei.
Thank you very much, Sara. And now I believe we could start with our speakers. First of all, let's welcome Alice Zhang from Messe Nanjing. He will present she will present her presentation on the mutual learning benefits of talent exchanges. Now the floor is yours, Alice, please. Do you prefer to share the slide, the screen from your side?
Yes.
Yeah. So I will stop sharing my screen.
对，你那边共享屏幕好像停止了，禁用共享功能了。
Okay. So
可以打开一下。
Okay, now you can share, right?
OK。
I'm sorry, Alice, you are muted. Again, sorry, Alice, you are muted. I will try to unmute you from my side. Yes, yes, please. Now you are sharing your screen, and now I believe you can open your PPT. Yes, but still we cannot hear you, Alice.
嘉伟，你能听到我说话吗？
现在可以，现在可以，你可以现在共享一下试试，然后，好像您
刚刚共享过2次了，不行，要不你帮我放吧。
好，我帮你找一下。So I'm going to share screen again for Alice. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Dear Sarah, dear Mr. Halldor Berg, Mr. Carolina Guedes, all friends, good morning, good afternoon. Thanks the ENRICH team for inviting me today. I'm Alice Zhang from Nanjing Sociedade Overseas Innovation Center. Today, my topic for sharing is EU-China talent exchange, mutual learning benefit. This is a great topic, and it might be more appreciated for the government leaders. So as for me, today I'm going to talk about some specific benefits around my daily work area. Today, firstly, I will simply introduce my company background. Germany's Stuttgart Exhibition Center and the Nanjing International Expo Center established Nanjing Stuttgart joint venture 10 years ago. The company is now mainly worked for exhibitions with several themes. It also operates Stuttgart Overseas Innovation Center, which is focused on overseas talents, matchmaking service of international scientific research projects, and help to set up international startups. And around these goals, we will regularly organize activities and daily match on relevant topics. Next. At present, China is developing rapidly and undergoing further transformation. The country is focusing on educating future talents, but these talents are far from enough, either because they cannot meet the new development requirements or because of international exchange that stay overseas for development. Therefore, overseas talent this overseas talent will be in greater demand in the future. More and more attention for overseas talent has been paid by the country. Chinese manpower is also changing from labor intensive to science and technology service oriented. Next. Yes. Therefore, since 2006, the Chinese government has arranged the talent working departments of local governments, which are work for formulating various national and local talent plans and policies to support the departments of talents in all industries. Next, Jiawei. Topic international talent plans in recent years are follows. National level, including 1,000 talent programs, 10,000 talents programs, 启明 talent program, and some touch plan, and some province and local plans, including Jiangsu Innovation and Entrepreneurship Program, Nanjing Purple Mountain Talent Program, and some policy from Shanghai, some policy from Zhejiang Province, and absolute talent plans. Chinese have obtained many overseas talents and help to these talents join the local R&D institutions or university or some enterprises to promote the exchange and the R&D development. And next. So what can be obtained for overseas center? First, they can obtain R&D financial support, including research funding or some support about their R&D team, and some employment subsidy. And secondly, they can get a housing allowance. And the last, they can get some family support, for example, children's education or some medical and others. And the next. With the support of work and life, overseas talent can better devote their energy to scientific research. In terms of talent exchange and learning, in addition to transporting talents for China, China also transporting talents for European countries and other countries. Many Chinese have also made good scientific research achievements overseas, supporting the development of local scientific research. Due to the Belt and Road or other relevant policies, it is relatively easy for Chinese talents to enter into small and medium-sized enterprises in Europe, which has also contributed to local economic development and social stability. Therefore, talent exchange is two-sided and all win. Next, Jiawei. Yes. At present, the COVID-19 and the Omicron has a great impact on the flow of talents. But in the long side and see from the different forms of learning and work, talent exchange is still a trend. Next, Jiawei. Next. So let's look at the location of Jiangsu and Nanjing, which are basically in the middle of China East. The high-speed railway 2 hours away from Shanghai and 4 hours away from Beijing is very convenient for transportation. Nanjing has a population of 10 million. Next, Jiawei. Jiawei, next. Yes. Jiangsu is located in the Yangtze River Economic Belt with a total of 13 cities, all of which are among the top 100 cities in China. It is the firstly level province and the first level developed province. And Nanjing is good at a government intensive and development logistic system, high education and skilled labor force. Next, Jiawei. All the year, we focus on monthly matchmaking and quarterly theme forum and year-round call for project or talent. So across the year, we focus on the talent, we focus on the R&D project, and help some startups. Next. Last month, we held an online conference on overseas talent. This event is highly supported by the government, directly and indirectly contributed to the employment services of 40 talents into China. And the database of short-term and long-term overseas PhD department has been established, reaching 400 employers. Over 20,000 people watched the conference online. And the next. We have good local universities. They have always been in demand for talents and scientific research projects. You can take a look at their website when it is convenient. If you are interested you can contact us. We will help you establish each side case and promote the exchange and cooperation. Next. For example, Nanjing University and others. There are also some research institutes that you can see. For example, Jiangsu Future Network Innovation Research Institute. For example, Nanjing Green Additive Manufacturing Research. We can also promote each side understanding and cooperation. And the next. Recently, we have been calling for two units for the matchmaking. First is China University of Mining and Technology. They help the direction, including electrical vehicle, electrical boat, new energy saving, and if some enterprises or some talent interested in the direction, feel free to connect me. We can help. And the second unit is the Jiangsu Industrial Technology Research Institute. This is a bigger institute. Their office in Nanjing and in Shanghai and in Suzhou. The field of the cooperation, including new material, high-end equipment, new medicine and biotechnology, electrical and information technology, energy saving and environmental protection. The cooperation of the method is very they can give the fund, or they can focus on some new project to development. So if somebody or some talents or some unit interested in at least two units, feel free to connect me. In summary, both in terms of policies and resources, China-EU talent exchange is of great benefit and win-win. I also hope that every talent can gain and develop. The world is a global village. Thank you for your time and attention. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you very much, Alice, for sharing the information with us. And now I would like to ask if there is any questions regarding this topic. I believe there is one. Okay, that is a greeting from Africa. So I think right now we could move to our next speaker. Just let me share my screen again. Oh, sorry. Halldor, do you like to share your screen?
Yeah, I think I'll just share my own screen, if that's okay. You hear me clearly?
Yes, sure. So
Perfect.
okay, I will stop sharing mine.
Okay, I'll go here to share.
Yeah.
Yep. And I should be able to pick the slides from this one and share. Is this visible to you? You're able to see?
Yes, it's perfect.
Very good. So good morning, everybody in Europe and Africa. Good afternoon to all my colleagues that are here in China. My name is Halldor Berg. Like Jiawei introduced me so nicely earlier, I am the country coordinator for EURAXESS in China, located here in our brand new office in Beijing, but not a brand new project though. We've been working, the EURAXESS has been running an office here since 2009, I think. And I've been with the project since 2015. And so I have a 7 years experience working in this field. So EURAXESS is an initiative of the European Commission, DGRDT, so the Research and Innovation Directorate. And EURAXESS in China, we sort of work in the field of connecting researchers between the world and the European research area, but I'll introduce that quickly in a second. The topic of today's presentation is related to the webinar, clearly. We're talking about the bridges of communication between EU and China. In particular, we're looking at the topic of talent exchange. And then this is something that I really care a lot about. Talent exchange implies, and we're talking about real people and individuals that are going back and forth between China and Europe. When you are talking about collaboration in science and innovation, you could look at a lot of different levels, right? You could start at, for example, think about the governmental collaboration or the framework for collaboration. You could look at institutional collaboration. You can look at all these different channels, and you could try to fund them and give them money and do something big together. But what it always boils down to in the end is real scientists and researchers, individual people that are supposed to work together and do something, right? And so like, I feel like sometimes this part of collaboration gets forgotten. So I'm really glad that we're talking about talent exchange today, because that is a big part of the individual science collaboration. It's basically researchers, mobile researchers going around the world and working together. So it can mean, for example, Chinese researchers that are working all around Europe with European research teams, etc. But it also means, for example, European researchers that are coming here to work with Chinese institutions, or even moving here for a longer or shorter term to work inside of these institutions. That's what researchers' mobility means. But before I go any further, I think it's really important to emphasize that this whole field, the mobility of researchers and just mobility in general, is facing a lot of challenges at the moment. So this is not an easy time to be talking about talent exchange. And it would be really folly to have a presentation in 2022 and not mention the fact that there's basically been no talent exchange since 2020 for understandable reasons. There's been a pandemic terrorizing the world. It's not an easy time to be a mobile researcher working together. Now these things are getting a little bit looser in Europe, but things are really still strict here in China, and it's not easy to be coming in and out at the moment. But that being said, I mean, like I'll assume at some point, hopefully things will return to some kind of normal. And so it's really worth it to not forget to discuss this really important aspect of collaboration, even though right now people are not going. But it is a really critical moment right now. There are a lot of institutions, institutional collaborations and so on that I would say are kind of collapsing right now, because there's just hasn't been this talent exchange that is so important. You know, like a lot of the projects that have been ongoing for a long time are getting neglected and forgotten right now, because people have not been able to go back and forth between China and Europe for almost 3 years soon. Well, more than 2 years at least. So that is not good, but hopefully this will change soon. The good news, though, is I can say is that in addition to the problems with mobility during COVID times, there is also been like, just let's be frank, there's been some political issues as well between China and Europe and how to collaborate. But I'm really happy to reiterate the news from last Friday. There have been signed new sort of agreement on joint research funding between China and Europe. So this is the first signed agreement on a co-funding of joint European and Chinese research that has happened since Horizon Europe started. So that's really, really positive. It's a really good start. I'm really glad to see that this got into the news. This is something that people, they were signing last week, and it's been in the news this week and so on. So that's a good sign. There is going to be this collaboration going on in food, agriculture, and biology, FAB. And there's also going to be a whole flagship initiative around climate change and biodiversity. And this is a good sign that, like, at least there's going to be some channels open as soon as the mobility starts. All right, so let me just, before I go any further discussing, what I want to discuss today is basically the mobility of European researchers that are coming here to China. I think there are other people that might reflect better about the mobility as it goes the other way, but this is maybe the one field that we know better than most. So in the EURAXESS network, we have a lot of people, including most European scientists that come here in China. They normally end up in our network. So we have this great overview of how that is going and how they function here in China. So I think we might be able to give you some kind of a insight into this part of the talent exchange that a lot of people don't have. EURAXESS in China, we've been here since 2009. And just really quickly to sum up what we do, we animate a network to support researchers that want to stay connected with the European research area. In the case of our hub here in China, that basically means two groups of people. We are talking about Chinese researchers that want to work with or want to go to Europe to work in Europe and do research there. And we have about 6,000 of them in our network. And then we also are talking about European researchers. They could be in Europe and just interested in working in Europe. As I imagine, some of you might be part of that group, the people in this attendance today. But we're also talking about European researchers that come here. We have over 1,000 researchers like that in our network, about 1,500. Thereof, a significant portion is based here in China. Aside from EURAXESS China, EURAXESS is this really big initiative of the European Commission. We have networks all over Europe, about 500 to 600 service centers all over Europe. This allows researchers that want to come to Europe, to receive services and facilitation when it comes to sort of make it easier for them to go between countries and go to a new place in Europe. This is really important because we all know that without mobility of researchers, it's going to be super difficult to run any significant global international research collaboration. So I think that's a really smart project in Europe. But in addition to that, we also have the EURAXESS portal, which is this sort of website that is one of the biggest sort of job database and funding database of the European Union. Therefore, it's one of the biggest places in the world for people to go and that are doing science and research to find out what are the opportunities available. And then finally, we have EURAXESS Worldwide, which is the part that I belong to. And EURAXESS Worldwide have offices like in other places outside of Europe to like serve the communities that are here. So like me, I'm working with the Chinese researchers here and the European researchers that are based here. But we also have offices, for example, in North America and India and Japan. We even opened up an office in Africa. EURAXESS Africa just opened last year, I think, or just a few months ago. So there are these offices all over. If you're from some other part of the world, you might be interested in learning about what my colleagues are up to. It's really interesting. So that is EURAXESS. And one part of the people that EURAXESS do service is the European researchers that are based here in China. And just to be frank, we're not talking about a huge group of people. I can tell you that my colleagues in EURAXESS North America, which are based in Washington, DC, for example, the group there, I think they estimate they have over 100,000 European scientists in the US. We don't have 100,000 European scientists in China. I mean, clearly, China is a rising science power, especially over the last 10 years. But like historically, there's not been a lot of European scientists coming here. But before COVID and before the problems with mobility, this was a rising number. There were more and more people coming over. There are these amazing scientific institutions here in China that are doing really interesting things. There were different talent attraction schemes. And yeah, basically a lot of different reasons why people were coming over. It's difficult to say exactly how many European researchers there are here in China, though. But I think we're quite safe to say that they're not more than 1,000, at least in a normal year. There's obviously no like official database over how many European researchers there are, but we can use like different methods to try to sort of assess this. So first of all, I know my network quite well. And in our network, we are actually close to 7,000 members now. And of there's like 1,600 that are Europeans. And of them, there's like 800 with some connection to China. And we assess that we have like 200 to 400 people in our network at any given time in China. Right now, it's probably closer to 400 or 500 actually. And then the question becomes to me, is that like 1% of the total number here, or is it half of it, or how is it? And my feeling is that it's about half or even more, because we have been quite successful going around China, growing our networks. We have all these weekend groups. European researchers, when they find each other, they're normally quite quick to introduce it to EURAXESS and so on. And I think we cover at least a significant proportion. And this gives me an idea of the order of magnitude, how many people are here. But if you look at other stakeholders, we have also done that in the past. We asked like the embassies here, we asked the diaspora networks, and just like there was a scientist that was working with me for a long time, Andreas Stretskoa, who interviewed a lot of these stakeholders and came up with a number of 600 to 800 European researchers in China before COVID. So I think that's a little bit on the lower side, but it just tells you it's probably somewhere around there. And then the last method that I feel like definitely gives us a good idea is to look at what the Chinese numbers are. There are no direct numbers from the Chinese side about how many European scientists there are in China. But according to the Chinese number, there are more than 10,000 foreign staff that have a doctorate in higher education institutions in China. And this means basically it could include teachers and professors, etc. We can use like a couple of tricks to trying to understand how many of the professors here are actually Europeans. For example, there's statistics from Germany about researchers that had history in working in China, how many of them were Europeans versus, let's say, African or Indian, etc. And we found out about like 10 to 15% of them had a European background. So, and then we also had this method of looking at how high percentage of the researchers are actually professors, versus, you know, like maybe teaching just like language or something, versus being active in research. And we found out that about 60% of them, using a random sample, were active in research. So using that number, we also arrive around 1,000 European scientists here. So I feel like that's a good number to start with. This is not a lot of people, but they are extremely important in my opinion, because these are the people that on the European side have knowledge, know how to work with China, and can drive collaboration in the same way like Chinese researchers in Europe have been instrumental throughout history in working together between China and Europe and scientifically and so on. There is a lack of knowledge in Europe on how to work with China, but these people, they are really, really good at this. And they are also important people because they are a seed of what is to come. I would say that before, like maybe 10 years ago, the number was probably at least twice as small, like half the number of what is right now. So this is a huge difference. It's a big growth that was going on over the last year or so. And if that had continued uninterrupted, we might have been seeing a lot of Europeans coming here. Clearly, since COVID, there's not been a huge increase, actually the opposite. We've been surveying our members since COVID, and we found that at the height of 2020 lockdowns, more than 60% of European scientists normally based in China were not able to return to China. And then there was a way for people to get back for a small window of time. And around that time, about half of them came back, taking the amount of people that were here normally to about half, 50, 60 to 70%. But since then, the mobility has gotten really hard again, and there's more and more people leaving, there's no renewal and so on. So we assess that there's less than half of the normal amount of people in town right now. Hopefully that's just an exception, not a sign of what is to come. If you want to look at who these people are, we have some information about that by looking at our events and our network and who is in there and so on. We can estimate that about 20% of them are in the life sciences, about a third of them are in the physical sciences and engineering, another third are in the social sciences and humanities, and then we have like a 10% there, like less than 10% that include something else. And as far as career states are concerned, there are some people that come here to do PhD, not a lot, but about 50% of the total number. There are also some early career researchers doing postdoc in China, but then majority of the people are either established researchers or even leading researchers. And And that is interesting because it does reflect the strategy of the Chinese government in its talent attraction to try to get more experienced researchers to come. But if you look at our numbers, you can see that the people that tend to stick around in China are the people that come earlier in their career. So I think if the Chinese were strategic, they would try to target these people better, but that's not how it is. There are more men than women that come to China to do science. About 60% of our network are men versus 30% of women. And you can see how it distributes over the member states of the European Union quite predictably, with a quarter from Germany, a little bit less from France. And then we have a good number of people from Spain and Italy, as well as a long tail from a lot of other member states, clearly. As far as where they are in China, you would have thought a lot of them working in Beijing because the best universities are in Beijing, but in reality, about a third of them are in Shanghai, which is the biggest city for European scientists in China. And I can tell you they're not having a good time these days in Shanghai. It's a difficult situation there. And then we have about 25% in Beijing, making Beijing and Shanghai about half of the population. But this is also noteworthy, though, because for those of you that are not very familiar with China, this means that about 50% of them are not in Shanghai or Beijing, but probably in cities that you haven't heard about. You know, like there are a lot of scientists in Xi'an and in Wuhan, in different places, just like around China. They're not always in the same place, and there are a lot of very significant scientific points in Nanjing, for example. Because my colleague earlier is from there, there are quite a bit of European scientists. I know a few of them that are working in Nanjing, for example, in Nanjing University. So why do European researchers come to China? The question is like first of all, like what motivates them, why they come here. Also, as far as us on the European side, it's like, should we want them to be coming to China or not? And I would say, so first of all, why do they come here? I would say, according to a study that my colleague, I have a couple of people I was working with before, were interviewing researchers here. And originally, the biggest reason why people came to China, let's say 10 years ago or 15 years ago, were twofold. Number one, they would be coming here because they have some kind of connection to China. It could be because they have a Chinese spouse. It could be because they're really interested in China. They might have studied Chinese language or culture or something like that. It might be like a Zhongguotong, like a China expert, and or China hand, like we sometimes say. This is like one part. The other people that were coming here back in the day, they would be people like had this adventurous strike, people that were tired of the mundanity and like the boringness of their normal academic life and wanted to go somewhere exciting and different and so on. A lot of people came to China in the early 2000s to do something like that, for example. In the last 5 to 6 years, this is not the case anymore. You can see that the recruitment was getting a lot more professional. You can look at my network and you can see a lot of people that have been recruited between 2013 and 2018, for example. They had no connection to China. They came because they got a good offer and they were interested in those institutions. Yeah. So like that was a big change that was happening before COVID. People were actually coming to China because they thought China was a good destination for a researcher. And this is something that a lot of people might not realize, but it's really important for us to understand that this was happening and there were more and more people coming on this point. And is that a good thing? I think outgoing mobility is really important for Europe. We don't struggle with brain drain, Europe as a whole. In contrary, we actually have an issue with not knowing China a lot. We have this imbalance in knowledge here because we have a lot of Chinese that come to Europe, a lot of Chinese scientists in Europe that know a lot about Europe. But there's definitely a lack of knowledge on China from the European side. So we should just embrace the fact that we have more people going there, try to connect to them and try to help them and be on their side. That is my personal opinion. And that's also what I try to achieve with EURAXESS when I'm working with the European members that are here in China. So these are the main things to consider. I could talk for 3 hours about the main challenges that they're facing and so on. We've done several surveys on that throughout the years here at EURAXESS, but there are definitely several big challenges that they face. There's challenges for getting funding if you cannot like communicate in English or you cannot apply in English and so on. There's a very strict selection criteria, etc. There was also issues with getting integrated into the institutions that were very common amongst Chinese researchers. There were some constraints in accessing data and information that a lot of the Europeans were complaining about. So these are definitely challenges. There are also challenges with visas and residence permits and so on that have been worked on throughout the years, and it's been getting better, but was definitely a thing that they were facing and they were communicating. And where are these researchers sort of based? How are they coming here? So clearly we have European universities here in China and European like structures, let's say, like for example, France has more than 70 joint laboratories between China and Europe through the CNRS, etc. The Germans have the Helmholtz and Fraunhofer and different like institutions that are working here in China as well. And so like these are a channel of presence for them. But in reality, the biggest channel of presence for European scientists here in China is just inside Chinese universities who are trying to internationalize and recruiting foreign talent. And that's where these researchers are coming from. And I've already, like the third thing that I think is something worth it to discuss. I mean, like we'll just see in the Q&A if people are interested in one thing more than another. But when it comes to the state of mobility, we need to sort of think about what is the state. First of all, is it growing? Is it not? Like I said earlier, it was definitely growing. It was changing. Then COVID came and kind of destroyed it. And it's in a really bad place right now. The question is, how is it going to be in the future? How are we going to think about it? How are we going to encourage it or deter it, etc. And one of the things that I have been, one of the ways that and we in EURAXESS have been tackling this idea about state of the mobility is through encouraging and fostering diaspora activities here in China. So we have now this many European researchers that are here. So, and we are kind of keen, at least here in EURAXESS, to help them to stay here and thrive here and be successful here in China. Be happy here in China. So but we also want to stay connected with them. We also want to make sure that they stay connected to the European science communities, etc. So one of the big ways that we can achieve that is by doing it through networks of diaspora, researchers diasporas, let's say. So there's national scientific networks of European researchers here in China, and we in EURAXESS, we've been helping out over the years building these. So for example, RISE, which is the network of Spanish researchers based in China. And this is something we helped the Spanish embassy to do in 2016. There's also the Association of Italian Scholars, which we've been a close partner with since they started in 2015. We helped the Germans to create like their informal network of German scientists here in China. We helped the Netherlands to put up their science network here and identifying Dutch scientists that are here in China. So these networks have been popping up over the years, over the last 6 or 7 years. The member states have been sort of putting up these networks. And these networks are really, really, really helpful, because you can imagine if you're an Italian here in China, you're facing some challenges, being able to seek help and support from other Italian scientists can be really, really helpful. Also, when it comes to for them to stay connected with what's going on in Italy, this is a really important channel for them. One of the biggest challenges a foreign researcher faces when he's somewhere else is the danger or the risk of him losing connection to the home country's research community. And this is really, really serious, because that means that they cannot return. They will stop being able to publish there, etc., etc. No researcher wants this to happen. They might want to stay well connected here in China, but also stay well connected back home. And they can do this through their diaspora networks. And EURAXESS has been helping setting this infrastructure up. Then, in the last 2 years, we have also been trying to take it to another level. So we created something called the Platform for European Researchers Networks in China, which is just like a meeting that we'll do every once in a while, where we'll bring all these national networks together to talk to each other, normally in an online meeting. And that is really, it's been really, really helpful and interesting. But on top of that, one of the things that we heard from the scientists is that these networks, national networks, are kind of small. They might be up around 100 people each, which is not quite enough to have enough people in one field of research. So if you're, for example, a neuroscientist, most of the other people in the network are all philosophers or historians or theoretical physicists. You're probably not going to be having a lot of really interesting professional conversations in the network. And that's a miss, right? Missed opportunity. So if we elevate it to a European level, we might have enough people. Like I said, we have several hundreds of Europeans here. So we set up this thematic network of European researchers where the researchers in similar fields could like do things together. So a good example of this is the network of European researchers in biology and medicine, which EURAXESS was instrumental in setting up last year. You can find them on nerbimac.eu. So these researchers, there are more than 80 of them now in their network. And these are all European scientists for different European countries that are doing some kind of biology or medical related stuff all over China. They're in every city in China, in every major institution, etc. This is so cool because what's happening here is that not only is this a support network for them and really nice networking opportunity, but also this is of extreme professional interest, right? These people, they are able to connect with each other to run actual research together and achieve two results. They are able to take their knowledge, combine it together and connect to things in Europe. For example, if there's a Horizon Europe call or something like that, that wants to do something to fight against cancer or something like that and work with China, these would be the people that we could actually activate and have something happening. That's really, really cool. And we try to do different things with them. Each of the networks, EURAXESS facilitates them to have an annual meeting with each other. And there's also this one big meeting forum for European researchers in China that we held every year. And we're planning to hold this year in September, the last week of September. So it will intersect with the European Research and Innovation Days. And that is really cool. We've done that already a couple of times. And that is basically it, what I want to share with you guys today. First of all, I want to give you guys some inkling, some idea about what is the state of mobility, how many Europeans are coming here, why they're coming here, why there are more or less, and how it should develop. Then I want to explain to you guys what we are working on right now and how we try to foster it, etc., and try to support it. And I guess at this point, I would love to hear from the participants if they have some ideas. First of all, what could we do together in the future? How could we connect what we're doing, for example, more with the local researchers here? If you're a Chinese institution, how could we connect to you guys in some way and create more dynamic, more sparks by connecting like Chinese networks to the European networks, etc.? Or if you're a European actor, if you're based in Europe, how could we connect what was going on in Europe with the thematic networks or other things that are going here? How could we take advantage of this knowledge that exists? So are there any questions? Thank you so much for allowing me to speak here today. I want to thank my colleagues from ENRICH and let's see if anybody wants to discuss anything.
Okay, thank you, Halldor. Thank you very much for your interesting talk and for the data that you bring to us. It is very interesting, and also the good news that's just released to promote the talent exchange from China to Europe. And I think we are slightly running out of time, so I saw two questions in the panel, but I will leave it in the end of the webinar, if you allow me.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much, Halldor. And now I would like to pass the floor to Carolina.
Yes.
Yes. Could you please share your screen, or you prefer me to do that?
Yes.
So, okay. Now the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good morning to all of those in Europe and Africa. Good afternoon to those in China. Thank you so much to ENRICH China for this invitation to be here. I am part of the Young Entrepreneurs Association Portugal China, and I'm going to speak to you a little bit about the work we do in helping young entrepreneurs to connect between each other. So AJEPC was started as a movement in 2009 with some young entrepreneurs from Portugal going to China, and they were always meeting in China, even though they went by themselves. So they thought maybe it would be more interesting to make an association and to help each other to reach the market, because, as you know, Portugal is a very small country. We were formally constituted in June 2012. So actually this year, in just one month, more or less, we'll be celebrating our 10th anniversary. We are a small association composed mainly by volunteers, a non-profit association, but we do a lot of different things. Well, not so much now because of COVID and because we are unable to travel to China, but we still try to do as many things as we can to promote connections between entrepreneurs. Our associates started by being mostly from the agro-food sector, because our president is from that business sector. But actually at this point, we have associates from all the business sectors, because also the interest in China grew a lot in these last 10 years. And so we have people from agri-food still, because food is always a very good place to start to promote a country in another country. But real estate, industry, tourism, renewable energy, agriculture, services, everything. We believe in cooperation. AJEPC, since it started, because it started from the cooperation between entrepreneurs, we always wanted to be close to other entities of entrepreneurs and networks of associations that can help us locally to reach people in their own markets. It's very difficult to be away from one market trying to reach it by yourself. So it's always better to cooperate with the ones that know it. We have a lot of different institutions with whom we cooperate in China, especially some with of young entrepreneurs like SOCRA, the Shenzhen Overseas Returnees Association, that is actually an association located in Shenzhen that aggregates people that were studying abroad and came back to China to do their businesses. So it's an interesting way of thinking. And also we have other associations with whom we cooperate outside of China and outside of Portugal, like FIJ, which is the Federation of Ibero-American Young Entrepreneurs. This is a very big organization that has around 78,500 members from 15 countries. And also the network of Portuguese chambers of commerce, which aggregates all the chambers of commerce in the different countries all around the world that are Portuguese. This just to show you that even though we are small, but we have a lot of different connections to different institutions in different parts of the world. And they are not all here, of course, because it would be impossible. I would need a lot of slides to put all the institutions. So a little bit about the work we do. Since 2012 until now, we organized 296 activities, this between exhibitions, business missions, inverse missions, which means that these business missions coming from China to Portugal, social media missions, and clarification sessions. We we think that information like this that we are doing today, speaking about how to approach the market and all the different difficulties that people reach when they are trying to reach the market, is very important to share this knowledge and to share the experience of people that have it. So we organize a lot of clarification sessions and also participate in a lot of them. We organize the participation in exhibitions and business missions. We did a lot of them before COVID. Actually, before COVID hit Europe, we had to cancel one business mission that we were organizing in March 2020 in China. So for us, our work started to be affected by COVID before it hit Europe. We also organize networking events. We do tailor-made business missions, translating services and information to support exporting. There's a lot of doubts regarding exporting between Portugal and China, and not only Portugal and China, but the rules to enter the Chinese market, especially now that since January, we have new rules with the companies having to register in a special platform so they can send their food products inside of China. This is just to show you a little bit about the difference between the markets. This is something that we always tell entrepreneurs that are interested in China. China is a huge country. Usually I say it's like a lot of different countries inside one country. As you can see, Portugal has only about 10 million people, which is the same as Alice said that Nanjing has. And there are a lot of cities in China that have many more people that hold Portugal. So, and it's not only regarding Portugal, but other countries. It's important to understand the market before you go there and to understand how you want to approach it and how your product or service can fit the market. And even if it is only one city, because sometimes one city is more than the whole market that you have in your home country. Portugal has a very special context in the world because we are part of the Portuguese-speaking countries, which means that even though we are very small, we have a big network because we are part of this, the community of the Portuguese-speaking countries, of countries around the world that speak Portuguese. And of course, sharing a language, it's always a good place to start to having connections and to cooperate and to help each other. We have a lot of young entrepreneurs coming from these countries to the events that we organize. Now here in Portugal, but also when we went to China, we had a lot of young entrepreneurs from these countries participating in the business missions, in the exhibitions, in all the activities that we do in China, and also on the online activities that we have been promoting since we can't travel. Also, Portugal has a special location because I don't know if you see my cursor, but we are this very, very small country, a little more gray than the other one. So we are connected to the world by sea because we have a huge coast. We are in Europe, we are close to Africa, and we are just across from the Atlantic Ocean from America. So it's a very special location. Sorry. What we have learned with China. It's very important to be present as frequently as possible, because if people don't see you, if you go one time and then you don't come back, you just, people feel like you are not trustworthy because maybe your business is not good or you don't know what you're doing. So it's very important to be present as frequently as possible to establish a strong network. It's also very important to create strong friendship bonds, to build a good business relationship. And so having this in mind, and also because it's very difficult for young entrepreneurs and for people starting businesses to always be investing on being present, we started to think, how could we reach a bigger part of the world? We are part of JEM, which is the Young Entrepreneurs Organization of the European Union. We are, since January 2021, we share our president with this entity, which means that we have even a broader reach to young people interested in entrepreneur across Europe. JEM represents over 1,660,000 young people. So as in all Europe, so you see, we have a very big network. So in 2017, we started a different project that, well, it was born from the idea that we not only to work in this very narrow narrative of Portugal-China, because it wasn't even more Portugal-China. We were working with the Portuguese-speaking countries and China, mediating this relationship, including Portugal, of course. But how could we do something that would aggregate our whole network in the world and create opportunities for people in China, for people in the Portuguese-speaking countries, and for Europe, of course, because we are part of Europe too. So in 2017, we created a project called 3 Events, 3 Continents in Portuguese, which means that every day we have a fixed networking round trip around these 3 continents that starts in Brazil with Fin Business Forum. That actually the normal month for it to happen is in March, but because of COVID, we had to postpone it to May this year. So in about 2 weeks, we will be in Brazil with our local partner doing Fin Business Forum there. Then June, here in Porto, I am in Porto in Portugal, so here in Porto, and then October in China. I'm going to present a little bit about this project that takes young entrepreneurs across the world and to connect between each other. So Fin Business Forum will be on the 11th and 12th of May in Florianópolis, Santa Catarina in Brazil. There will have, the event will have 4 main themes: Industry 4.0, Smart Cities, Clean Energy and Agrotech. And also there will be a special stage dynamized by AJEPC. I don't know if there's someone from Brazil here, but AJEPC is the Young Exporter Institute. It's an institute that supports young entrepreneurs that want to start exporting to other countries and that need the tools, that need the knowledge, that need training to know how to do it. So there will be a special stage at this event that will help young entrepreneurs to pitch their ideas, to get more knowledge about how to export and how to make their business grow. We are always worried about supporting young entrepreneurs to reach their goals and to boost their ideas, to make them grow and to make the companies grow, of course. These are all the people involved in the event. As you can see, SPI is here. It's important, like we said, cooperation is a very important way to work for us. Then there's Fin Portugal, which is the event we do here in Portugal. This event, not like Fin Business Forum. Fin Business Forum is made in cooperation with our local partner, but this event here in Portugal is made by us, by AJEPC, with the collaboration, of course, of our partners. This will be the 6th edition. We started in 2017, and with COVID, we had a lot of different challenges because in 2020, we were unable to do it in person. Then last year, we did the event hybrid. And this year, it will still be hybrid because of all the traveling restrictions we still have in China and some other countries that are still with a lot of restrictions to travel. And of course, the war in Ukraine also doesn't help people in this traveling situation. This is a business-to-business event. We promote business matching meetings, conferences, because like I said before, knowledge is a very powerful tool to grow for young entrepreneurs. Networking events, I would say that your network, it's in this global world that we work now. It's the biggest tool and the most important tool you can have to reach the markets you want. A small exhibition area. And also we will have some networking initiatives at the virtual platform for people, for those that can't be here in Portugal. I should say, since this is a hybrid event, that people that are at the platform that are unable to be here live, they will be able to interact with everyone at the event, and also at the panels, they will be able to pose their questions like here at this webinar. This is a little bit about the event. So we have some pictures before COVID, with a lot of people at the event, and then some pictures of last year that we did the hybrid event. Actually, Sara is here in this small picture. She was a speaker at the conference last year. And we had some people on stage and some people reaching us online. These are all the partners involved at this time, and we are focused on connecting people and sharing knowledge. PLPX, it's the Portuguese-speaking countries products and service pavilion in Macau. This is a special pavilion inside the Macau International Fair that this year will have its 27th edition. It's the first event we did when we were constituted in 2012. So we were constituted in June 2012. And by October that year, we were in Macau with 89 companies, which, as you can understand, it was a crazy, crazy idea. But anyway, we were able to do it. It's a very dear event for us, because we have been doing it since we were constituted, and also because of all the work we have been developing, not only on taking to Macau Portuguese companies, but also from the Portuguese-speaking countries, and also from some countries from our network in countries that are not Portuguese-speaking countries. We have the role of being co-organizers with the local government, which is a great honor for us. Usually we have delegations of around between 200 and 250 young entrepreneurs participating in this event. Of course, since 2019, which was the last year we did this, we haven't gone to Macau. There's only the online edition, but it's still a way to maintain presence at the site of Chinese business people, so it's still worth it, and we are very eager to be able to go back to the market and be there in person, because even though technology is very good and it helps people to stay connected, it's totally different to speak with someone that's right in front of us or through a TV screen, a computer screen. All our events have a small part of culture, because culture is also a very good way to promote a country. So as you can see here, we have a tuna, which is a group of young students that sings in the university, and we always take a little bit of culture with us to this event, and also at FIN we have that. And we also always take young people, young volunteers with us. because we believe that by supporting young people, we are helping to build the world's future. We have some protocols with some universities here in Portugal, also with the University of Macau. We always have at MIF, at PLPX, we always have local students helping to translate between the Portuguese people and the Chinese visitants. And we, in all the work that we do, all the business missions that we do, either here in Portugal or going to China or coming from the Portuguese speaking countries, we have young students or people that are starting their businesses or their business lives accompanying us. This grants them an opportunity not only to work, of course, because volunteers always have to work, but they have the opportunity to be at the market, to know the market there locally by interacting with people, by seeing what the challenges are in the interaction between different cultures, because we have always questions with the different interpretations of things because of our cultural background. And it's an amazing opportunity to have a business experience even before you start your business or while starting your business. We have some people that have gone with us to China for several times that are now working in China. And we also have some people, the students that came from China to Portugal to have a business experience that stayed here working. So it's always very interesting to help people, to help young people, to support them, and also to learn from them, because we are always learning from each other. So thank you very much for your attention. Any questions, please let me know. You can always reach me and see the websites from the events, because the presentation will be shared. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carolina. It's a very nice talk, and I think it will be a nice guidance for the young entrepreneurs to think about expanding their business in the foreign market, and also you shared the information about the next event. I think it will be very helpful for the young entrepreneurs also. So now, thank you, Carolina. Now I would like to move to our next session, which will be the Q&A session. And I already see some questions answered by Halldor. Do you have any further comments on these questions?
Not really. I mean, people can take a look. There was a question about the culture here. I'm afraid I'm not a big expert, so I would not be going any further. There was another question about if there's any strategy in Europe not to build up any knowledge on China, and I pointed out that there are on member state levels different China knowledge networks that do exist. And the European Commission also has been trying to build a platform to bring it together. And as far as I know, I'm not involved in any of these, but as far as I know, they have resulted in recommendations that have been implemented in EU's China policy, etc. So if Ulf is interested, he can kind of Google this concept, like these words, and I'm sure they'll be finding a lot of interesting things. There's a lot of movement at the moment right now. Also, one thing I didn't mention, in Horizon Europe, there's also some calls last year to build up knowledge about China, like among China experts and so on. So I don't know how that's been going, but that's definitely something to keep an eye out for when those results start to come in. So there's something like that.
Okay, thank you, Halldor. And any other comments from other speakers? Okay, if not, I think we are slightly running out of time. So if you have any further questions, please contact us or contact directly to our speakers. You have the emails and contacts in the chat board, and feel free to contact at any time. So now, Sara, back to you.
So many thanks, Jiawei. So first of all, many thanks to our speakers, to Alice, to Halldor, and Carolina for the excellent presentations. Many thanks to all the participants. And it was a great pleasure to have all of you with us in this ENRICH in China webinar about talent exchange and on the bridges of communication between the EU and China. And please stay tuned for the next webinar in June. And many thanks again to all of you. And let's continue working on the cooperation between the EU and China. Many thanks and have a nice evening and a nice day in Europe. Bye-bye. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you,
Bye.
Sarah. Just before we're leaving, I just propose to have a picture with all of us. Is that okay?
Great idea, Jiawei.
Okay, so I will stop sharing and I will count 3, and 1, 2, 3. We will have a nice picture. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, everyone is smile. It's amazing. Okay, thank you very much again for the speakers and for the audience, and we wish to see you in our next event. Bye.
Many thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Jiawei.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.